Hi and welcome. I am introducing a new video series entitled Midnight to Morning, which will focus on the next 2,000 years in the life of the Bride of Christ, where she is headed and why. I will continue to talk about the three gifts, the clock, the key, and the net, given to the Bride of Christ at her midnight hour in age-to-age timekeeping, which is happening now. Because these three gifts, with their subjects of time, language, and organization, will be needed as the Bride of Christ moves beyond the midnight hour to the morning star. Now, while the institutional model of the church might appear to be dying, the true Bride of Christ is really just in the process of being reborn. She has much to accomplish over the next 2,000 years in partnership with her bridegroom, the risen Christ. That said, the Midnight to Morning video series will contain 5 successive parts. Each video will build upon the one that preceded it. We'll start with part 1, which will feature hidden manna promised to the Bride of Christ at the end of the third letter to the Church of Pergamum in Revelation 2:17. The hidden manna is a storytelling template in the text of Genesis 1, where the 7 thunders of Revelation 10 are located. This hidden template is something Bible scholars have missed over the centuries because the historical critical approach to biblical research does not ask the necessary questions which would allow the template to come into view. The 7 thunders, which is the key and the clock, provide the Bride of Christ with a key of knowledge and an age-to-age timekeeping perspective, everything that the Bride of Christ will need as she travels from midnight to morning. Now, part 2 of the video series will center on an important process established in Matthew 13 for harvesting wheat from humanity's wheat field. The discussion will include an age-to-age perspective of the parable of the sower, along with an age-to-age perspective of the parable of the weeds that were sown in humanity's wheat field by an enemy. Part 3 of this video series will feature a discussion on about the star in Revelation 9 and the key that is given to the star to open the shaft of the abyss and the smoke that rises out of the abyss when the star opens the shaft. Opening the shaft will include reframing the spiritual concepts of the Satan, sin, and spiritual purity. Reframing these 3 topics will hopefully bridge the relevance gap between ancient thinking regarding the topics of sin, Satan, and spiritual purity, and the meta-modern thinking of today and tomorrow as the Bride of Christ moves ahead from midnight to morning. Part 4 of the video series will feature another key. It's the same key, but it's in the hands of another angel of Revelation 20. And that key opens the bottomless pit. And we'll also talk about a great chain that is needed to bind Satan. Reframing the Satan will make it possible to imagine chaining our dragon, the ancient serpent, who is the devil and the Satan. During this portion of the video series, I will also highlight purple light on the key of the 7 thunders, the role that this color played in the story of the Exodus, the design of the original tabernacle, and the design of the human circulatory system. We'll also look at the science of purple light as we understand it today. Lastly, part 5 of this video series will feature the gift of a white stone, also promised at the end of the third letter to the Church of Pergamum in Revelation 2:17. We will use the measuring rod given to John of Patmos in Revelation 11 to assess the overall building plan for God's temple here on earth, a holy city, a new Jerusalem that must come down out of heaven as a bride adorned for her husband. The discussions in this part of the video series will include organizational matters, leadership groupings, miraculous feedings, cornerstones, capstones, and a kingdom of heaven that looks very much like a net. If these discussions sound interesting to you, then please subscribe to my channel and invite your friends and colleagues to join in this discussion as well. With the help of the clock, the key, and the net, the Bride of Christ has the potential to fulfill the revelatory visions of John of Patmos and to guide the human spirit into a brighter, healthier future. A weary world awaits such healing. Thank you for listening. Next up, the storytelling template of Genesis 1. See you then.